Welcome to the show. I'm
Hello,
Betsy.
everyone. I'm Jared.
This is the Wow Pod.
Yep. And we are going to...
And I just have to say, I miss King of Wekamundo.
I know. I'm
going to find him. I'm going to reach out to him personally, and I'm going to invite him.
I'm getting that figured out. Maybe he doesn't want to be on Zuckerberg's dole.
Yeah, is he on Facebook? So King of Wekamundo joins all of our YouTube, and he's got the best commentary.
He does. So today we are talking about the Villisca Axe
You
Murders.
did it, yes, the Villisca Axe Murders, or the Villisca Axe Murder House. Anyway,
It probably depends on...
it's a sordid tale. We're going to cover mostly the murders, but since then, there seems to be quite a bit of activity within the house.
I want to cover the house after. The murders, it's an unsolved crime, and they'll eat up most of the time, but some things have happened after that Betsy told me about that I have not looked into because I wanted the shock and surprise.
It's freaking... Anyway, Villisca Axe Murders. That's what we're going to talk about today.
Yep, the Villisca Axe Murders. So it happened in 1912. In June 1912, the neighbor ladies at 5 a.m. Now, I want you guys to think about this. This is in Ohio, in the southwest part of Ohio.
Iowa.
Or Iowa.
Close.
There's a difference. Really?
Yes.
I thought it was the same state. You mean we actually have 50 states?
Yes.
I have to add another one to the bucket list. Anyways, so the neighbor lady at 5 a.m. is outside hanging up her laundry, and she looks over at the Villiscas. That's the last name of the family. And she notices they're not up yet. Now, if I'm outside at 5 a.m. in the morning and none of my neighbors are up, no surprise. None at all.
None.
Right. But apparently back then, and it could have been, maybe they were in the back end of their time zone, so the sun was up 45 minutes longer for their time. I don't know. So anyway, so she goes back inside, goes back outside, looks over again. They're still not up. So she goes and knocks on the door. Oh, the Villisca house the town is Villisca. The name is the family's name is Moore. Sorry. I probably had anyone who's looking for it looking up the Villiscas. The family's name is the Moores. And then, so then she goes inside, and calls the father's brother, and the father's brother comes over and he knocks on the doors, and no one's answering the doors. So he kicks the door in and goes inside, and he sees immediately inside two bodies covered with blood.
Yeah, it was apparently an extremely bloody scene.
Especially the parents. Now, what it was is there was the mom and the dad. All right. 8 people were found bludgeoned to death. 6 of them were children. So you had Josiah, awesome name, Sarah, and those are the parents. Their 4 children, Herman. What's his middle name? Montgomery.
Herman.
They gave him no
That's
option.
not a name that should come back. I mean, it's...
No, I love it.
Oh.
So Herman was 11, Mary was 10, Arthur was 7, and little Paul was 5. And they were a wealthy family. He owned like a business, and I think it was called an implement business at the time. And when I think implements, I think like tractors.
Parts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so something like that. And that'll come up later. And then they also had Mary Catherine had 2 friends over. Ina May, who was 8, and Lena Gertrude. I'm digging the names.
Herman, Ina, and Lena.
And Lena was 12, and they were both the Stellinger sisters. They were friends from church. And so this was a Sunday night, and they came over to spend the night. So the brother comes in, and he sees these bodies. So he runs through the house. Everyone through the night had been killed with an axe. And then the 2 visiting girls, the Stellinger girls, they were both on a bed, and they were posed so that their bottoms had been pulled off, especially Lena. So like they had their nightgowns hiked up and their underwear pulled off, and then their bums were hanging over the bed. Now, it is reported that they were not sexually assaulted.
Okay. I would argue that in 1912, it would be difficult forensically to prove one way or the other.
I will tell you right now, I wouldn't know.
Yeah.
I haven't had any near the training, and I imagine back then, it's definitely a possibility that they couldn't tell. But then again, you hear the stories of like the old kings and queens where they would do the virtue test on princesses.
It's true.
What is that?
Yeah.
How is that done?
You don't want to know.
How awful would that have to be?
Terrible. Terrible. And maybe it's grayscale. Maybe, you know how some of these tribes do really horrible things and they don't know they're horrible until they get somewhere else, and then they're like, damn, that was a really bad experience. Maybe it was so commonplace that these virtue tests were just like, what are you doing Tuesday? I'm going to go down and get a virtue test. You know, I don't know.
I mean, I would picture, like you sit at a desk and they say, you got 5 minutes to fill this out. No bathroom breaks, no backpacks allowed. But I mean, just to think what they probably did was probably just an horrendous experience for anyone. And then how do they virtue test a boy?
You just ask him.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So
patriarchy.
Doctors concluded that these murders had taken place between midnight and 5 a.m. What they did find was 2 they called them spent cigarettes in the attic space. So it was thought that the killer or killers, multiple killers, waited in the attic until everyone fell asleep.
Yeah, like they got into the house because they all went to church that day, and then they came home from church and went to bed.
Well, yeah, there's like things you do.
Day.
Yeah,
things you do after church. You read the Bible and put up your good blouse or whatever, and then so maybe the person broke in while they were at church. And this is a small town. I never looked up. I should have looked up what the town population size was.
In 1912?
Yeah.
It was pretty small. It was pretty small.
So anyway, so the brother gets there. He sees these 2 bodies, runs around the house, sees everyone's dead. The 2 parents are unrecognizable, but we'll go into that in a second. So then he comes down. He calls the local hardware store and tells them to go get the city marshal. The city marshal comes over and tries controlling the area, but the city marshal then calls the radio, the old telephone operator, like you see in the old black and whites where they pull a plug out and put it in another hole. And they put out a general alert around the town. So then the whole town shows up. So a doctor and the marshal got to see the bodies. And then the whole town shows up, tramping through to see the house. So all the evidence gets lost.
Mm-hmm.
The coroner, because the coroner's a county coroner, doesn't make it out. I mean, this is 1912. The car is 6 years old. Doesn't make it out for like an hour and a half. So for that hour and a half, the marshal goes to the front door to stop people from coming in. Those people run around and start coming in the back door. So he goes around the house, pushes them all out the back door, and then they start coming in the front door. So they're just trampling all the evidence.
And I don't know what the evidence collection would have been back then, but
Could have been.
I would argue that part of the reason it remains unsolved today is all of the foot traffic.
Yeah, it could have been as simple as, boot prints and I mean, like those cigarette butts that were found. Those were found after the people trampled through the house.
Yeah.
So what if some of the people in town wanted to see if there was anything of value or of note to take from the attic? So anyways.
So Josiah, they say, received more blows than any other victim.
Yeah.
So much so that his eyes were missing.
His eyes were, his whole skull from the jawbone up was disintegrated.
Oy.
The headboard was a Van Gogh of brains.
A Van Gogh.
Yeah, that's how you say it, Van Gogh. And so, yeah. So now the Ida girl, she was the only one that looked like she wasn't killed in her sleep.
Like she may have woke up.
Like she had woke up and she had started to slide off the bed to come, or no, was it Mary? It was Mary. She had started to come off the bed. Now, the thing that's weird to me is it sounds like the two visiting girls were posed in what appears to my mind like a sexual manner. Mm-hmm. Right? So that kind of leads me to think, was that not what he went there for, but it was an opportunity that he could go for? I don't know why I'm being so chauvinist, that they could go for it. It could have been a woman that did this.
Absolutely.
But they were
it's unlikely, but absolutely. I'm gonna follow your train of thought.
They were posed in a sexual manner. And then also, Betsy, what was found in that room?
So in the room where Lena and Ina were, and it's seemingly after the murder, so it wasn't brought in prior to, so it's not like they left it in there, but seemingly after the murders, there was a 4-pound slab of bacon that was laid next to the axe and a bowl of bloody water.
Mm-hmm. Almost like, and this is what they suspected. This person, ever the astute gentleman, wasn't going to sully these young ladies after he had done this to them. Oh, sorry. After they had done this to him. They suspect that he may have used the bacon as an implement.
Yes.
Should we see how many times I can say implement through this? So that he posed the girls so he could see their bums.
And then used the bacon.
But he had to wash his hands first because,
Oh. Yuck.
But they found no hair and no bodily fluids in the bacon. So that maybe that was just his plan. But then when the neighbor got up at 5 a.m., he got interrupted because he just killed 8 people with an axe.
And so he used the axe blade for Josiah and Mary.
Yep.
But then he used the blunt end of the axe
for everyone else. Josiah and Mary are the only two that got the blade. Everyone else just got the bludgeoning side. And the way they think it happened, they think he went in, killed the father with one blow, then the mother with one blow, and then went to
through the house,
each room after that,
went back,
and then went back to the father and mother, and just
wailed on him.
Just kept going. It's a heinous story. So anyway, after they do the all points bulletin, which back in those days was, I guess the operator lady just plugged all the wires into all of them and just said, and everyone's phone rang. I don't know how that worked.
I'm not sure.
That's a good question because we've all seen it in the movies. And then, so everyone trampled through, but then they got some suspects.
Yeah, quite a few actually.
Yeah. Now, they've got another, what are the names of the suspects? You've got Henry Lee Moore, no relation.
Andrew Sawyer.
Yep.
So
now Henry Lee Moore was a vagabond.
Yes.
Who had been arrested multiple times, all the time, and also ended up getting tried and I think found guilty for murdering someone else with an axe in another town.
So he was a suspected serial killer. Mm-hmm. So he was convicted of the murder of his mother and grandmother several months before.
With an axe.
Yeah, his choice of weapon in those murders that he was convicted for was an axe.
Now, that could just be that it was circumstantial and made it so they only looked for him.
Yeah. So there's quite a few suspects, but there's also Andrew Sawyer. So Andrew was like a transient. He was interrogated but not charged.
Yeah, he was the homeless man. They found out he got interrogated and charged, but during I guess what they called discovery back then, they found out that when they had been killed, he had been in jail like in the next state over. In Ohio. Which one did we say?
It's in Iowa.
Yeah.
So he was in Ohio in jail.
So they found out he was in jail the next state over.
So then there was this Reverend, George Kelly.
He was one of them traveling reverends that go from tent to tent and speak tongues and, cure cancer and stuff. Crazy person.
So as an adolescent, he suffered like this mental breakdown. And as an adult, he was accused of peeping. And several times asking young women to pose nude for him.
Arrested for it.
Oh.
And also ended up serving, I think, what did he serve? He served something like 32 days for doing stuff.
So he shows up to teach at this children's service.
He was at their church that day.
And then he left town between 5 a.m. And 6 a.m. the following morning.
And on the train, people reported that he was talking about the murders before they had been discovered at about 6:30.
And weirdly enough, Reverend Kelly confessed in court to the murders, but the jury did not believe his confession.
Because he was a crazy person, but he may have done it. He's the one that I like best for it, not because he's a reverend, because he's a fellow man of the cloth, like yours truly. But just because but then again, back then, just the way people were, when they found out there was a murder in their town, everyone ran to the house.
Yeah. So Kelly later recanted. After two separate trials, he was actually acquitted because the jury just didn't buy it. Then we have, even stranger yet, Frank Jones, Iowa state senator.
Yes, he's the local state senator who Mr. Moore had worked for when he was young and then started at an implement business. And then Mr. Moore started his own implement business and they became the two major competitors.
Yep.
And hated each other.
So William Mansfield was another one, but the theory was that Senator Jones hired him to murder the Morse family.
Yeah.
So 9 months before the murders, this axe murder occurs in Colorado Springs. The cases were similar enough that it raised this possibility that they could have been committed by the same person.
Yeah, and that's a lot of what happened with the other guy, that the circumstantial stuff. And do you think maybe that might have shaded the investigation a bit?
Absolutely.
I think if we go back in time and maybe when the town marshal first calls and does like everyone hear about what happened, if a couple of town elders would have stood at the doors and stopped people from going in, I think there might have been a better chance for them to solve this.
Absolutely.
I think because there was one, they lost a lot of time where the investigating party couldn't focus on what do we have in front of me. He had to focus on, okay, chase the Smiths out the back, and then you got to chase these guys out.
And then when you get them out, you're not sure who left what.
Yeah.
What belongs to who.
Not just that, but he couldn't even focus on there was the crime that he's looking at. All he could focus on was, oh, I better run to the back. I hear people in there again. And that was one of the more shocking parts of it that I heard.
So an investigator managed to convince a grand jury at the time to open an investigation into this Mansfield guy, and he was arrested and brought to Montgomery County from Kansas. However, he had a pretty airtight alibi, and he was released for lack of evidence, and then later won a lawsuit he brought against the investigating officer.
$2,200 in 1913.
That was a lot of money.
Yeah. Houses back then were probably $1,000.
So, gosh, I don't know. So then we've got the Henry Lee Moore, suspected serial killer, Sam Moyer. So it was reported that Sam Moyer was Josiah's brother-in-law and that he had often threatened to kill Josiah. Now, his alibi did hold up pretty tight, so they cleared him of the crime. Paul Mueller. Now, Paul Mueller and his daughter, Rachel McCarthy James, were the ones from the train
that
overheard. So it brought a little speculation on him when he brought it up.
The preacher talking about. But that is where the preacher was talking about the murder on the train when the train left before they'd been discovered.
Before they had been discovered. So I would say it was likely the preacher, even though he was, completely mentally unstable in many other ways in his life, but it feels to me like he's the most probable suspect, which is interesting that a jury didn't buy his confession.
But the other thing is did the preacher actually say that on the train, or did this other party just want to inject themselves into the most exciting story that happened in Iowa? In which state is it again?
Iowa.
In Iowa, up until that point.
Pretty weird. So super sad, unsolved case, family of 6 plus 2 unsuspecting girls who are staying the night after this church function.
Just 2 neighborhood girls who were going to have a super fun camp out.
Yeah.
With Mary Helen.
Oy. And Herman.
They had lots of opportunities though. They couldn't have tossed a Eustace in there.
Eustace. And a verb. Yeah. Could have been a verb. Verb. Eustace.
Verb. I mean, Lena. Oh, that's the Stellinger girl. So the girls all got pretty easygoing names.
All right, let's do some news.
You want to do some news?
Do some news.
All right.
Because we got some weird ass news.
Yes, we do. Yeah. So what do you got in the news right now, Betsy?
So let's cover mine.
Cover yours.
So they say love knows no bounds. And, there have been points in my life where I have thought, screw it. My soulmate is clearly an inanimate object. Her name is Miervion Rocha Morias.
It's what?
Miervion Rocha Morias.
Merivion?
Yes.
Maravon? Is it Maravon?
Maravon Rocha Morris has found her soulmate.
Where's this lady from? Oh,
Brazil.
Rio de Janeiro.
In the life-size doll, she calls her husband. And they've had a baby, people.
I've got a close friend that's down in Brazil for hospital type stuff right now. I'm going to have to ask her if they were cellmates. I mean, or neighbors.
So Mier's 37 years old. She lives in Brazil, and her mom made her this rag doll named Marcello.
Is this the rag doll?
That's the baby.
That's the baby with the eyebrow.
So apparently she had gone to her mom and complained about being single and having no one to dance with. And so her mom hooked a girl up. I'm gonna read this all the way through, Jared. Little did she realize it would be love at first sight. And after a few months of dating, she fell pregnant. Now, the two of them decided to make this right and tie the knot before the newborn arrived. Their wedding ceremony was attended by 250 people. Now, unsurprisingly, the birth was painless. Miravion claimed it only took 35 minutes. It was a wonderful day for me. Very important, very emotional. He is a man I always wanted in my life. Married life with him is wonderful. I bet it is. Listen, I see you. I bet it's fantastic. He doesn't fight with me, she goes on to say. He doesn't argue, and he just understands me. Marcelo is a great and faithful husband. You're damn right he is.
250 people.
He is such a man, and all women envy him. I do. All right? I'm envious of you. Miravion. I'm envious of you.
So you got that guy that was in where was he at? Ukraine or somewhere that married the blow up doll. Not a blow up doll. It was the lifelike doll. Then you got the lady in Ireland that married the pirate.
The dead pirate. Yes.
But divorced him because he was abusive.
So she goes on to say, marriage isn't always easy. He has so many great qualities, but the only downside is he's lazy. But I'm a warrior and I keep it going for us. It's about to get weird. So Miravon said after Marcelo didn't use a condom, she felt pregnant. She says, I didn't feel contractions or any pain. Seeing the placenta and the umbilical cord and the blood made it all real.
You think they stitched that into the doll?
It really upsets me when people say this is fake. It makes me so angry. I am a woman of character. My mother and my father taught me to be honest. Yeah. 250 people. Show the picture. Show the picture of her and her.
Now that's the baby.
That's the baby.
It's up on screen.
It clearly looks exactly like its father.
Oh, do we have a picture of the father anywhere?
Yes, we do. You know.
Oh.
250 people
showed up to the wedding. Look at that eyebrow.
I would say most weddings with actual people involved don't have 250 people show up. But listen, I'm here to tell you, if I'm ever invited.
Oh, I'm going.
I don't care quit my job. I'm attending the ragdoll wedding.
I want to see I want to see the face cake smearing stuff. Oh gosh, that's too funny.
Listen, Marcello. Click the little arrow button next to
this one here. Oh, there's more. Oh my gosh! All right, folks.
This obviously is on the honeymoon, so it's a little risque. He appears to be wearing only a Speedo. He's terrifying. He's absolutely terrifying.
The mustache.
Look, it looks like he has no upper lip at all. He's absolutely terrifying.
The nose is upside down, but he has 2 eyebrows. Why doesn't the baby get 2?
The baby has 2.
And he has no feet, and it looks like they put like doctor gloves on him, like, you know, when you put it and blow it up, make a doctor glove balloon, a turkey balloon for.
Her mom is an artist in this creation. Okay, go to the next photo.
Oh my gosh, this is hilarious.
There's baby.
Oh, she trimmed the baby up.
Okay, go to the next one. Mm-hmm. Oh.
And she took him in a pool. Do you think like he got waterlogged? Did she have to throw him in the dryer after? Hang him up on a clothesline to let him air dry? Because otherwise, you don't want him to get. You don't want you to lose your husband to mold. Listen,
Jared, you have been in the dating scene. This should be looking really good to you. Oh. His face is flat.
They had an actual wedding.
And a wedding dance.
And everyone there.
Look at them. They're so happy for them.
They are so happy for them. I guarantee all the gifts went to her.
I wonder what his vows were.
He's got a mullet.
He does kind of have. He's got a mullet going on.
Mullet, hair lip, mustache.
This is how you get pregnant. They're a family.
You guys, you got to look up this picture, right? You for people listening, you've got to look this up. She's holding the baby.
They're dressed as scarecrows.
They're all in flannel. Oh, scarecrow. I don't know why that didn't come into my mind that you would dress him up as a scarecrow.
I want to know why the baby has none of her features.
The baby's back to unibrow. You notice that? The baby goes back and forth.
Yeah.
But you know, she could get him a job.
She probably could.
As a scarecrow. Oh.
They go to dinner together.
Imagine you're running your restaurant. Oh, I think we found the end of that one, guys.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. That's
a good story.
That was great.
And I'm not knocking it. I'm just.
We've got 2 more news stories. One of them I'm unsure whether I want to talk about. I mean, it is 2 months old.
And it's horrible.
Yeah,
what's going on with it?
I want to cover it.
Yeah, let's skip it. Okay.
The parents are being charged. That's what's going on.
This one was pretty cool, pretty uplifting. Yeah. And this lady's like a real genuine hero.
Oh, yeah. Oh, for sure. For sure. 100%. I mean, yeah. Yeah. Crazy story. All right. I'm adjusting this right now. All right. So go on with the story, Betsy.
So this one was actually updated. This happened yesterday. Artistic swimmer Anita Alvarez. She was completing her routine in the solo free. So it's like free swimming finals at the World Aquatics Championship on Wednesday. So it's like swim dancing for one.
So when like that thing you see in the movies where
yes, just like that,
and the feet are up and
just like that. So her coach, Team USA's coach, Andrea Fuentes, she is a former Olympic medal swimmer. Thank goodness.
Olympic water dancer swimmer?
I'm not sure, maybe. But she noticed that something was off. Now, I'm sure she's seen her routine over and over and over and over again. But
that last pirouette was just
it was after her routine when she just kind of went underwater. So you can see Andrea Fuentes looking at the lifeguards, and in the videos that are online, she's actually kind of motioning for the lifeguards.
So the lifeguard's just sitting there?
And they don't know. They're just like, oh, part of the show.
Chewing on a Snickers.
Well, yeah, because these are Olympic swimmers.
I have seen this move before, Charles. I know, Ray. This is called the play dead flop.
So there is, because this is this like swim dancing competition, there are underwater videos. So you can watch from the surface. Her coach is like, fine, I'll do it myself. And she jumps in fully clothed and perfect form, like barely a splash as she enters the water. And thank God she's an Olympic diver, because these pools are deep.
Well, you can see in the picture.
So she swims down and grabs a hold, brings her to the surface, and this poor girl is still unconscious when she crests the water.
Oh, yeah.
And another swimmer there at the competition jumps in. Now, he's in swim gear. He must have, like, when fully clothed jumped in, he was like, oh, shit. I don't know if he was a lifeguard or who it was, but...
And look at that picture. She is out.
Completely unconscious.
Like she's done. So
this Olympic coach just kicks off the bottom and pushes both of them to the top, and they crest the water before the diver, the cavalry arrives.
Oh, man. Yeah, she is out.
And so she remains unconscious until they get her on the shore and start giving her...
I'll bet she took a couple of breaths of water.
Absolutely.
Oh, my goodness.
And it's literally seconds that saved her life.
No.
Thank God her coach was like, yeah, this ain't right. And she gave the lifeguards about 1.2 seconds before she just tossed off her glasses and jumped in the water.
This coach is seriously awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That's right.
Good job, coach. And she was a USA team, like a Olympic swim dancing captain coach.
So she's Team USA coach. Andrea Fuentes, you are literally a rock star. Like,
oh, yeah.
Like hero level professional.
Yeah. Color me impressed.
Yeah.
All right. We got to finish out the girl story.
Oh.
I know. Okay, we're almost there. But anyways.
So, Villisca Murders.
Never found anyone. No one ever been charged. It's been 110 years. I doubt anyone's going to be... I doubt they're going to figure this out. You can go on YouTube, look it up. There's a couple of guys that this is their hobby. Like they're from the area, and this is their hobby. They've got some thoughts and ideas, but, nothing concrete. And you can't prove anything now. Everything was lost. But supposedly...
So fast forward, it had changed hands many times. But in 1994, Darwin, again, great name, and Martha bought this farmhouse and planned to turn it into like a historical museum. So it's got like this dollhouse-like simple layout.
Well, I would say
it's ubiquitous of farmhouses in that area.
A layout common to 1912.
So the Lynns wanted to revive the home and bring it back to its former glory. Now, the walls, they say, had much more to say. So the Lynns started, as they say, listening. Soon after they bought the home, they got this influx of requests like, oh, someone owns the home. Paranormal investigators wanted to visit the home and commune with the ghosts of the deceased victims who once lived there. The idea is that the residual energy.
Can we pause for just a second? I got to ask a question. I think ghost hunting is super fun and super cool. I don't want to talk to any of them though. Is that weird of me to feel like that? Am I alone in this? Not wanting to actually, I would love to go ghost hunting all the time. And
not hear
I'm
anything.
a lot of okay with being unsuccessful on my ghost hunts.
Yes. I think ghost hunters who make a living at it or really pour their hearts into it are a special kind of people who are fearless in their own right. And maybe just want to understand.
So you're saying they're the type of person that would use a public restroom in, say, Walmart and not check to make sure the toilet paper roll is full first. They would just go for it.
They wouldn't even put down the protector.
No ass gasket. Just sit down. You go for it, and then find out later they've got to sit and wait and ask for aid from hopefully a passerby.
I don't even know if they would ask for aid. I think ghost hunters.
Oh, they would just pants up.
I think they're just
raw dog it out.
I think they're the type of people that you see in haunted movies. The ones that go, "Hey, are you there?" If I hear a disembodied voice, I don't ask it if it's there. Mm-hmm. I don't offer to make it a sandwich. Mm-hmm. I don't ask it what it's. I leave.
Run.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are stayers and there are goers, and I'm a goer. So they decided to
lean in
some people. I guess it was just this huge influx, and they knew about the house and they had experienced some things themselves.
I would love to go investigate it. I just wouldn't want to be successful, I don't think, especially when it was little kids and such violence.
Yeah. So
this was way more than that chick that killed her folks. What was that girl's name?
Lizzie.
Yeah, Lizzie Bourdain.
Mm-hmm.
Bourdain's a cook guy, right?
Yeah, Anthony Bourdain.
Lizzie Borden. Yeah, I would like, that was awful, but it wasn't as violent as this. I mean, what was done to the mother and father, because the mother was worked over unrecognizably.
Yeah.
But the father, I mean, literally his head was gone north of the jaw.
Yeah. Oy. So as they lean into this, they get these reports back, and it's not everyone who goes there, but a large number, enough that it's still one of the most popular paranormal investigation spots in the United States. There was a family. Why? First of all, would you be like, let's take a vacation, kids, and stay at the Villisca house? No. Anyway, this family stays there.
Holiday Row.
This family stays there. Apparently, dad or mom or both are super interested in the paranormal, and they don't have a lot of really sophisticated equipment or anything, but they set up and start just doing some rudimentary recordings throughout the night. They, at one point, go to a separate room again. For real, people. You take your kids and then you leave them in a room in an axe house murder. Go to sleep in your own room. And they leave a recording playing in the other room. So the next day, they've got this busy day planned. They get up and they leave the home. And it wasn't until they get to their destination the following day, which they don't say if it was home that they went to or if they were kind of on like a road trip, that they play back this audio recording. And it was hours.
Was it in the room with the kids?
With the kids.
Oh.
It was hours of giggling.
Did they name their kids like Chum and Bait?
For real.
Like you're just going fishing, kids are tackle.
Yeah. So it's hours. It's hours, like 3 solid hours of little kids giggling. And the first thing the mom notices is that this is, first of all, not in either of her daughter's giggles. As moms, we know the laugh of our children. Dads, I'm sure, know the laugh of our children. She recognizes that it's not them. So,
and we can recognize our wife screaming from 3 counties away.
Yes. So she talks to her kids, and they were just like, "What do you mean? We were asleep."
How old were the kids?
9 and 14. It wasn't us, Mom. We were asleep.
So these kids need to get some really good counselors.
Lots of counseling.
Yes. And what do they call the attorney for kids? The
guardian ad litem.
Yeah, they need guardian ad liters.
Yeah.
Yep.
So another tale from this house is screams. And not your average like wailing, like but actual like
the blood
curdling screams. The people who have reported these blood curdling screams say that it was they heard them in almost a dream state. So they were kind of drifting off to sleep when they heard them.
When you start feeling a little dislocated from your body.
Yes. And so at first,
that would suck.
They thought it was just in their head. Like it was just,
because that's kind of a happy place when you're laying in bed and you know, the blankets are just right. The temperature's just right. And you kind of feel like,
this is it.
Well,
that's when you always feel like you're falling.
Well, I don't, but no, like you wonder to yourself, like, how your body position is. Cause you kind of can't
found the sweet spot.
Yeah. And I try to stay in that before I fall asleep if I can for a few minutes, you know, just cause it's super interesting and comfortable. And then to have a scream come barging into that peaceful bliss.
Yeah. So
then what happens if the ghost follows you home?
We've heard about that. Which when I first heard that, I was like, what? Absolutely not. So when this blog first started of people who had visited the house, everyone kind of started on the first kind of same page where they were like, yeah, like that weird kind of sleep state screams. It wasn't until there were lots of people purporting the same thing where people was like, okay, there's more to this screaming that we're hearing inside the house. Now, there are some very intellectual people who join these blogs. And one guy said that, you know, that honestly, energy never leaves. So if it is trapped within those walls, it's just a matter of tapping into it. Because energy is not born and it does not die.
How long does it stay there? And then, like, if the house gets torn down, does it still stay there? Is it?
I don't know. Does it leave with the house? Is it trapped in the wood?
Like, what if the house suddenly becomes a town monument? Like what happened in our hometown not too long ago, and the city says, oh, we're going to keep it to show how they built houses in the 1900s, and they put it on a trailer and move it down closer to the city property, you know. It does the bad energy go with the house, or is it tied geographically?
Because I think there's several schools of thought, but one of them is that the energy remains with the spirit. But the other school of thought is that the energy is expanded at such a velocity during these traumatic events that high vibration of energy remains in that space. So it doesn't move with you. It's not responding to you. It is just there. You just step into it. So there's another unexplained phenomenon that happens there, and it's like a fog. So it's the idea of like these orbs that some people purport seeing. But in this case, this blog, there are hundreds of people who have been to this house that they say this fog kind of rolls through in and out of the rooms. And it's not...
Is it like on the floor? Like
it's not... No, it's not a fog that's heat. induced. It's not sitting at the top of the room. It's kind of waist level.
Oh.
And it just kind of like roaming the house, roaming the halls. And people report it all the time. The scariest one of all of the blogs that I read.
The fog and the scream has been going pretty bad. Let's see what else.
A paranormal investigator, an actual investigator. This is what he does. Pastime, maybe it's a profession. I'm not sure. He goes to the house, spends one night, has had zero history with anything wonky, no mental health issues. He leaves the next day and stabs himself.
Like to death?
Not to death, but that was the intent. They saved him. But
What does he
was
say about
like
it?
stabbing himself.
What does he say about it? What does he say his reason is?
So his eyewitness testimony is not on record. The people around him, the news reports around him indicate a possession of sorts. So the people who were with him that night at the Villisca house said that there was a point, a very clear, distinct point in the night where he became different, like sullen, withdrawn, no longer speaking to anyone, kind of disconnected from the other three that were with him. And they were all concerned that something in his personal life had happened and maybe he had gotten a text message. So they gave him his space.
So they thought it was, just a
like
normal
a
thing.
spat or something had happened. So they gave him his space, and it was the next morning they packed up and they said he was still very, very different, disconnected from the group, no longer like having this dialogue with them. They leave and they get to there was two of them were roommates. The paranormal investigator and one other guy were roommates together. They get to his house, to their house that they share. He walks in, doesn't say anything, walks to the kitchen, grabs a freaking paring knife. So probably a 5-inch blade, 4-inch blade.
A thin one
and
that'll
just starts stabbing
How many times did he stab himself?
18.
Jesus, that's a lot of effort.
And the kid, his roommate is like jumping on him, and he says, I was just clamoring to get the knife, and he just kept stabbing himself.
Oh, and the roommate, kudos on you, because you're diving in someone. We're going to have to talk. Now, I do know that Sarah, Ryan.
Yeah, Ryan's
Jennifer,
on here.
Mary,
Hi, Ryan.
All of them talked about how to keep yourself safe when you do.
Yeah.
But they're more on.
They're on with the idea of like spiritual.
Yeah, but they do their paranormal investigation. I guess coming more from a side that this is. Some people might just investigate willy nilly and not have no plan of.
Not have any plan.
Trying to do an exorcism.
Well, and you may.
Do you think?
And it may not have been a possession. It may have just affected him so much.
Maybe he heard that
he just like mentally couldn't handle it.
I'd like to know where he's at now, what he thinks about what happened.
So I could find nothing.
Do you think me being a man of the cloth, I'd be safe on this?
Absolutely not. You are a sitting duck. They're going to recognize that your man of the cloth is of cloth only.
There's no man, just cloth.
There's no cloth. There's no man. Let's read some comments.
Okay,
hi, Laura. Hi, Norma.
Hi, Aunt Norma. Hi, Maston. Hi, Laura. Right. Norma has an awesome name, Ernestine.
Ernestine.
And if you want to throw some twang on it, Ernestine.
It can't be Ernestine. Nobody says Ernestine.
Why not?
Well, for obvious reasons.
Man, they can really. I don't know. I dig old names. I really like it. I've always thought Angus was a really cool name. But apparently none of my sisters agreed with me enough to toss that name at a nephew.
It's a terrible name.
Ryan says, wow, this is creepy. It is creepy. When you read about what, now they think the father was killed with like one blow.
And then
And then he went to the mother, and
they think this because there was a boot that had kind of filled with blood, and then it was spilled over. And so they did recognize that the boot had been tipped over. So there was an instance where it was dripped into and then spilled.
One blow in a room, probably not going to wake mom up. Because mom was worked over also.
Yeah.
Not as much as dad, but plenty. Like mom was unrecognizable also. There's no way. And she hadn't moved. The only one that had moved was Mary. She's the only one that had looked like they had.
And it did appear like she had some kind of defensive
heard a tussle and got up. And she was hit with
the blunt.
Not with the blunt, with the sharp blade. Everyone else was blunt. And also little baby Paul, who was 5-year-old, the last one killed. So it sounds like he went for the blunt side because he knew the axe wasn't going to get stuck in anyone. But Mary woke up, so he just reacted, which is why she got the sharp end. And then the baby, he didn't care if the axe got stuck.
They kind of theoretically surmised that the father was, because he was just so bludgeoned, that he was the target and everyone else was just kind of shrapnel. But
that everyone died for the father and the mother, because the mother, loved the father, so she got a little bit of it too.
But why? Because we're talking little babies in a whole different room. It was unnecessary.
It was a family annihilation.
Yeah.
Complete.
So it feels to me that the Reverend makes the most sense, way more than holding a grudge, because it feels to me like it was kind of like a crime of passion.
Like maybe he came on to the mom or one of the daughters and
voice in his head.
Yeah.
Maybe he just started obsessing over them during the church.
And he only met them that one day.
Yeah.
He was a traveling preacher. He'd hop on a train, go somewhere, do
some ministry,
read some verses, and then go peeping, Tomming, and pedophiling, and then go to the next town and, rinse and repeat.
Yeah.
All right.
So Ryan, to set this up, is probably one of the coolest paranormal investigators, because his whole kitsch is, let's see,
figure out
if there's anything else that can cause
out what could be a natural cause.
What's the origin?
He goes in to disprove it. And he's a part of a group where they've got,
not that he doesn't believe, but he goes into it very intellectually.
He goes in
He's
with
Sherlock.
With the approach of the other side.
Yeah, that perhaps we should rule out. He
doesn't want them to get carried away.
Yeah, we should rule out and take all of the emotion out of this, and let's talk other sources before we go to disembodied voice.
And you'd hear me over there. I'd crack the window of the van. Yeah, it's a good idea. Then roll it back up 2 blocks down the road as they investigate the ghost.
Oh.
Yep.
Yeah.
But it's wild. All right. Laura says, I bet he sucks with household chores, though no honeydews there.
He does go on to say that the only thing wrong with him is he's lazy.
He'd be a pretty good mop. You lay him down, kick him across the floor. Knocking out all those dust bunnies.
I just think that we should all have an open mind. Because if you've tried to date as of late, Marcello is probably the best thing out there.
Marcello.
And you can start a family still. I mean,
you just sew one up. All right. Oh,
yeah, that story was too much.
Ryan says, this is unreal. Norma says, a two-faced baby. That baby is wild. How shows up in one picture, unibrow, next picture, eyebrows, picture again, unibrow.
I'm going to have Grace read this story when I get home, and I'm going to tell her that's the only boyfriend she'll ever have.
Good luck.
I'll start sewing now.
I want to, you've still got to work out my crochet suit.
I'm afraid to, because you'll wear it.
What do you think? I want it just to
You'll actually don.
Oh, you bet your sweet ass. I'll go to the first doll wedding I ever hear about. Like crochet suit.
And I guess I shouldn't be surprised that there were 250 guests, because I would move heaven and earth.
If I even heard about it.
If I crash, we would crash it. We would be the wedding crashers.
If I accidentally glance an announcement on Facebook, I'm going to that wedding.
Yeah. I'll take a gift too.
Oh, you bet your sweet ass. They're getting a toaster from me.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
That's a universal wedding gift from Jared.
Well,
toaster.
Everyone needs a toaster.
Get him a good 4-bank. I like to go for the steel, but I guess black is coming into real popularity right now.
It's back.
Yeah. When is the pastel colors coming back? Folks, we need to go back to the 60s when
green countertops.
Lime green was the color of your table. And
it wasn't lime, it was baby shit green.
And remember great grandma Peasnell's table?
Yes.
And then like the cushions on the chairs would have been a color not at all related to lime green.
Yeah, they were like orange or burnt sienna.
And then you'd have like this salmon shell color on the stove. It was like they were trying to capture the rainbow.
Yeah.
In the kitchen.
Essence.
Yes.
The essence of the 50s and 60s.
Green was a super popular one. There was a lot of green in there.
Yeah.
Shocking, really. Anyways, thanks for joining us. I want to try to see if we can't find out more information on that investigation.
You can visit the Villisca house.
Let us know how it went.
It does have some pretty poor reviews. Like the lady's grumpy. I would be too. In disembodied voices, the fog, possible possessions. But apparently you can pay to this day to stay in the home. But she's not very welcoming. It's not like this cute little farmhouse lady with an apron on. Apparently she's kind of crotchety and
Well, now we're not going to be able to stay there now that you just besmirched the good name of Ruth.
If you read the Yelp reviews, I think she's got like a half a star rating.
Yeah.
And it's all like, she was so rude to us. And
here's the question. If you had the chance to buy a haunted house and turn it into an Airbnb, would you?
Absolutely not.
Not live in it. Make an Airbnb. Like for people to come check out, like the Clown Motel.
No.
You wouldn't. Remember that dude that owned the
Holy
Clown
Water?
Motel?
Yeah,
he was a cool dude. Moved from India to buy the Clown Motel.
We should go there again.
We need to. We need to go there in the daytime.
And this time stay.
Yeah, you get that room 69 or whatever it was.
You stay in there. Tell me how it goes.
I've got the van. You get the room. Yeah.
Anyway.
Definitely. But yeah, thanks for joining us, everyone. It is a creepy story. Oh, yeah. Sarah says, yes, I would wear it. I would.
Sarah.
I would. Matter of fact.
He would wear it. I'll send you a picture of what he wants me to crochet for him.
Mm-hmm.
Sarah, he would wear it.
And I have seen crocheted like loafer shoes, dress shoes, all that. It would be so above average. Thanks for joining us, everyone. We will be back next week. I'm getting it figured out. I'm just shopping around for the right program, but we're going to set this up so that it's streams to everyone.
I want you to leave them with a visual.
Oh, what am I looking up?
Go to Google. Type in crocheted men's jumpsuit. We're going to just leave them with a visual that if I create this is what he'll wear. Now hit images.
Okay.
Because that's where the good stuff is.
That's where the good
stuff. And go down.
All right, people.
It's not that one, though.
Well, I'm pulling that one up just because I like it. All right, I got to do some picture adjustment real quick.
I was thinking we could go patriotic.
Oh. Dun, 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 dun. Oh man, it's coming, folks. It's coming. I would totally do a photo shoot like this.
I know you would.
And this
Look,
one,
jorts.
this one even looks like it's made out of a doily.
It does.
Not a doily, hot pad. Doesn't it? Oh, we could spend a few minutes just one. Oh, that is the mugger.
Oh, remember these?
Yes, and yet I am not wearing. Look at this guy. This guy's got it going on fancy. Here, I gotta adjust the screen again. This guy has it going on.
Now, for the days that it's a little warmer.
He's even wearing like those are what you call in the military silkies. Look at this guy. He's even wearing like those shoes Mackenzie used to wear. Man, he's throwing it on.
Yeah.
Come on. Oh, look at that. See, look, here's for the women's attire. Huh?
Go up and type in crocheted shorts. Men's crocheted shorts.
Crocheted shorts.
Because that's what I was originally going to make. And I was going to make all of you brothers a matching pair.
And then you were worried we would all wear them.
And then I was afraid that if I did, you would wear them.
Holy cow, this guy, you ain't smuggling nothing in those.
Go down.
Look at that. This guy.
Those aren't crocheted.
Those aren't crocheted at all, folks. Those are. We might get demonetized for that one. Oh, man.
Those are like clam diggers.
Oh. 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 He's got the tassels. I love it. Betsy, can I have tassels on mine?
I'm telling you, if I make them, you'll wear.
Dude. See, you know what would be tough about this one? Which set do I want? Oh. And this guy looks like he's about to do a voodoo ritual in there. Dude, 4th of July, Betsy, we got time. You can knock me out a pair. We got time.
I could. If those little dingleberries hung a little lower.
You got to have the right legs for shorts that tight.
Well.
Oh, look at that one.
Yes.
Huh? Oh, that looks like a brony shorts.
Bronies.
Oh,
I could fringed. Look at him. He's like a stallion.
Oh,
look at his face.
Megan the Stallion. Oh, dude, those tassels are cool too. This is what you call a proud cut short.
I can't.
Oh my goodness. You like this one, Betsy?
Look at his face. He's pretty proud of those.
Dude, 4th of July is coming. I do like the poof balls better.
I can't. I can't with these.
Oh my goodness. That's marvelous. I really need to resize this so that people watching can see it better. Yeah, it's magnificent.
Yes.
It's glorious. It really is. Oh,
those were the ones I was going to make. Those.
I think those are like the classic.
Exact.
They've
classic.
got a nice hem down here.
Mm-hmm.
Ready for the thin belt.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there it is. That's right.
Anyway.
Yeah. So
you'll know if I actually make them for him because he'll sport them.
We could pressure Betsy into this.
In the wild, he'll be wearing those if I make them.
All the time. Looks like a giant spore. Go for it.
Yes.
I love them. I love them. And I want Betsy to make me, but I want a full suit, like a good one, tailor fit. everything,
Crocheted suit.
Crocheted suit. I could get some nice cufflinks. Seriously, and we could go the full shebang. All right, guys. We'll see you next week.
Have a great week.